Konnichiwa Guan, Mina Slimes. Today we're going to be discussing the political and socio-economic state of the world right now. More specifically, we're going to be talking about how the government and mass media is manipulating and weaponizing your identity in order to control you and do a whole bunch of other nasty shit. So last night I was doom scrolling through Instagram, as you do, wasting my life away. And I came across a religious post. Now the algorithm once in a while throws in a bit of a doozy, a bit of a left hook in the form of some sort of not exactly extremist post, but let's say you like one meme with racist humor in it, and all of a sudden you're going down a rabbit hole where every post gets progressively more actually racist and more extreme. And whenever I do come across a post like that, I use it as an opportunity to delve into the human psyche. I open up the comment section and all I usually see is a bunch of manic ass fucking comments. People being like, oh, Muslims are cancer, we cannot let them in. Jews are control the world and blah blah blah. I'm sure individually these people who comment, make these posts are not even bad people. I'm sure they're probably quite pleasant. But for some reason, once they're in that bubble of fellow Christians or fellow Americans or some shit like that, their sleeper agent just gets activated. The fucking hive mind consumes them and it becomes us against them. That is the core of the problem. It is identity. Now, a prime example is the American political party system. Now, personally, I'm not American, thank God. I know I'm gonna get a bunch of hillbilly rednecks in the comments tell me that I don't know this or I don't know that or I'm stupid or I'm not welcome in Alabama or I'm gonna get shot with a 12-gauge shotgun. Fair enough. I have no intention of coming to Alabama. But let me say this, consider this for just a second. There are only two parties in the United States. And usually when the votes come in every 4 years, the results are very close, like 48% to 52%. And what is the problem with that? Well, the problem with that is that people usually strongly identify with their political party, their affiliation. And because it's so close, the United States of America people can never be truly united. They're always divided almost half and half. So if the government does some corrupt shit like rug pull, like the president decides to rug pull their own people with a fucking Melania coin or some bullshit like that, I don't know who, that should never happen. Did it? I don't think so. Does that happen? So the big issue now becomes that since the nation is so divided, 50-50%, the people can never actually unite in order to fight the government if they do something corrupt, because they're too busy fighting with each other. Even if the other side says something reasonable, they're going to reject that idea because they do not belong to the same team. Their sense of identity and ego and pride that they have for their side makes them reject whatever the other side suggests. And the people are too busy fighting with each other in order to fight against the greater evil. They're too distracted in order to realize that BlackRock is buying up all the fucking property in order to make sure that household ownership no longer exists and that everyone becomes a rent fiend. Everybody's just gonna be renting and not actually owning anything. Fuck, I'm getting heated just thinking about this shit. And that is exactly the same thing that's happening on social media. The Christian people cannot identify with the Muslim people because they're part of the enemy team. The European people cannot identify with the Pakistanis because they're not European, they're part of the invaders. And what you don't realize is that your Christian church is colluding with the Muslim church, that the Israeli government is colluding with the European government in order to increase their power, in order to make their pockets bigger. Those are the two things that drive the world. My cat just invaded my house. This immigrant. Look at this immigrant. Look at this immigrant. What are you doing here? Who called you out here? Do you see the color of my skin? It is not the same as the color of your fur. And that cannot slide, homie. You're part of the enemy squad. Get eliminated. The top two things that drive especially the 1% of the people, the politicians, the billionaires, is money and power. They have the same common goal. They're working together in order to have mutual benefit, in order to increase your pockets and your homies' pockets. That is the only thing they care about. Meanwhile, you're fighting their battles because they want to keep you in fear. They want to fearmonger the shit out of you because that way you're easier to manipulate. You're easier to distract from the problems, from the governments being corrupt and using your money to fund some bullshit in order so that they could fly around in private jets and contribute to more carbon dioxide poisoning to the fucking ecosystem than you and I ever could in our entire lifetimes. Why are we not united? Why are we hating on each other and fighting these useless battles that they want us to fight when there's no point? We have the same common goals. We just want to live a comfortable life. We want to make it through the week without having to stress about rent. We have the same common goals, but here we are fighting each other. We're at each other's necks because the government wants us to be, the media wants us to be. Politicians use mass media in order to plant seeds of fear and hatred into your mind so they can then go up to the podium and proclaim that they have the perfect solution if you just give them your vote. Meanwhile, they're the very people that are making you anxious, that are making you hateful. It's such a fucking contradiction, and most people don't even realize it. So here's my message for today. Abandon that extrinsic identity. I've talked about identity before on my channel, but the identity that I preach for is intrinsic. I identify with kindness. I identify with justice. You don't need to belong to some kind of group or team in order to be those things. You can be those things on your own without having to depend on somebody else. Identify as a human being, not as a Russian or as a Catholic. Identify as a human being, because then everybody else around you is going to become part of your team. You're not going to have any enemies because they're all fellow human beings. The point of this video isn't to start a revolution or an insurrection. Please don't arrest me. It is to make people a bit more aware of their own prides and prejudices, as Jane Austen once wrote a book about. I think it was Jane Austen, I don't really remember. The point of this video is to make you a little bit more positive, in order to make you realize that you might have some unreasonable prejudices towards a certain group of people, because we only live one life, and it would be a shame to live that whole life drowning in agony and hatred and anxiety when we could spend that time productively and positively contributing to society and leaving a meaningful impact. So the choice is yours. Be nice to people, be kind, be empathetic. Of course, if there's an immigrant who is notoriously raping children on your street, probably not the best guy. An individual person. He does not represent the whole group of people, and I hope you understand that. Yeah.